Okay, let me make sure. Do I have? Is my mic miking? Okay. Hi, I'm Rebecca Goolsby. I'm from the Office of Naval Research. And I've been working in this field of how information affects behavior, particularly how the cyber world affects information since 1987 for sure. So I am the oldest dog in the house. Now, knowing that, I could kill you with hundreds of stories. I have more tweets and more analysis on Arab Spring tweets than anyone on the planet. But we're not going to go there today. Today, we're going to talk about social cyber behavior. I'm an anthropologist by training, and the first person in the United States to hold the professional job of computational social scientist in the United States government. We have been working on this concept of social cyber behavior for quite some time. My program officially began on this in 2007. So as an anthropologist, I'm concerned with what people say, what they do, and what they create. And social media is something that we create. It's almost an event and an idea. I'm interested in how access to information in fact impacts human behavior, human culture, social identity, behavior, individual and group choices that people make and frameworks of those choices, and how people decide what information to take in to their information bubbles and what they dismiss. Now, I have run something called a research technology group for NATO OTAN, which is part of the reason we have these slides. When I give these talks to NATO officers, I tell them that first we have this technical layer of what is possible. So Facebook, when it tells you, what's up today, is telling you something, it's trying to get you to do something. But having that technical layer interact with you is something very powerful. There's the real world layer of people, real relationships, and real things, real face-to-face events. But nowadays, we're looking at the social innovation layer, where people take in these new informations and take in these new technologies, do new things with them. In Arab Spring, we saw people using their cell phones as a shield against the Egyptian army. There was a new behavior. New relationships, they began to see that they had things in common with one another and novel capabilities, do new things. And that is what is interesting to me, this loop. In 12, I wrote a paper on social cyber attack, 12, mind you, looking at all of the ways that bad behavior on the internet was being used to attack people in India, Bangladesh, Kenya, we had in a number of places. And I came up with this rubric for how social media, or all this new information technology, impacts people across what we would call the spectrum of warfare in my military persona. That is, I study a lot of crisis response. I'm actually most well known for my work in disaster. I'm on a number of teams all over the world with UN Ocean and the United Nations. And I saw that in crisis response, we had people coming together. And crisis data, what we did in Haiti and other crises and events, was bring people together, bring order and discourse and cooperative behavior. Social cohesion is a purpose there. And this was critical. Then we saw community dialogue as kind of the next level of things, where you could take the sting out of propaganda, question it, squelch rumor, community outreach. We're creating a field here called cyber diplomacy. We see things like in Kenya, where they used the Ushahidi platform, which was a platform not unlike Facebook, but it was for reporting violence in the 2008 elections. And in 2012, they used that platform to report on hate speech. And then from the hate speech, they sent out radio stations. That is, in Kenya, each tribe has its own radio station. And that's very important to the media life of the people. And those radio stations held rallies with soccer players and music and all this sort of thing to remind Kenyans that they did not want to destroy their own societies. So what they did was they used the information layer for what it was good for, gathering information. They used the face-to-face layer of relationships and the existing media effectively and innovatively to promote peace, because you don't persuade people tweet by tweet. There has to be connection to that social layer for it to be maximally effective. And that's what we see across the world. Now, if you look at this, the influence of the propaganda stuff and the hate messages, the real world of propaganda, and social cyber attack, where they're really trying to do things to people. Another example of social cyber attack was in India, in which they used SMS messages in your phone to tell young people that there was another violence and activity in Assam, and sent all of these young Muslims all over India to the train stations. Okay, since this attack was going on, the Muslims, young people, tried to go home to Assam to help their brothers and sisters. And so the Indian train stations were closed for 3 days because that was a social cyber attack. These sorts of things try to get people to behave chaotically, to become confused and panicked. And if I often talk about the communities here, the community, the crisis community, the dialogue and cyber community, the attack community is basically, these people are their targets. And understanding that targeting, how social cyber attack attacks people who are trying to build peace and social cohesion, is terribly important to us, not just in Twitter and social media, but across the information technologies. Ben Nimmo has recently written an article, which I liked very much, because finally it distills a lot of the things that we've learned in our program. Dismiss, distort, distract, dismay. And he refers specifically to Russian information operations. We've done quite a bit of work on social bots and the orchestrated botnet idea, and hybrid tactics, which everyone has talked about today. But what that really means, in essence, is that social cyber attack happens all the time, not only in Russian environments, but also in others. So the point of this, where am I going with this? How can NATO officers get operational mastery of this new environment? How can we train them? Well, let me give the story of 2 police departments. The Boston Police Department decided they were getting into social media. They took the top 26 police officers, the chief of police, and all those people, and required them to tweet every day. Things in their wheelhouse, things in their authority. So you got lots of tweets about burglaries and lots of tweets about garbage pickup and traffic accidents and all this sort of thing, and everyone followed them. Yeah, they made mistakes, but since there was 26 of them, if one of them did something dumb, then this risk was distributed across 26 police officers. They got so familiar. Then the Boston bombing. And the police officers at that point in time realized what was happening and that social media was their best friend. So Deputy Daley, Chief of Police Deputy Daley, who was in charge of the command center, immediately sent messages out on tweets and commanded the information realm. They were the people to go to for the trusted information that they needed. They were so trusted. Remember, Boston is not a place that really trusts cops. No. This is very kind of anti-Boston. But over time, they had gotten familiar, and they had a contextualized, situated trust in the Boston Police Department that made them change and adjust their behavior. So when the Boston police asked them for films and videos, they got more than they could possibly handle. When they asked for people to stay in their homes, and when it was they did. And when it was all over, the Boston community did all of these Twitter thank yous to them. It was amazing. That's operational mastery. That's what it looks like. The New York Police Department hired some people, and they created this My NYPD tag, and said, please tweet your pictures of the New York police interacting with the public, and they got all the police brutalities and arrests and all sorts of horrible things. Because they were not authentic. The police of New York City think of themselves as the thin blue line. Theirs is a dirty job, you don't want it. They were not happy fuzzy bunny police. So if you stray from your authentic identity, you will be punished. Okay. And so in my message to Stratcom, this wonderful center, which I have been very happy to be working with Sanda Svitkova and the people at NATO Brunsum, Rick Galliano, and those people, what we have learned together has been we need to come up with this sense of what operational mastery consists of so that you can manage who you are, but more than just manage, learn how to use this ethically, effectively, and quickly. And that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you.